Hello, this is Yukun Feng from Tokyo Institute of Technology. Our paper title is a simple and effective usage of word clusters for CBOW model. Word clusters containing words that function similarly, and they are very useful for data sparsity. Recent work that incorporates word clusters mainly aims at reducing the model size. In our paper, we do not aim so. We show another effect for CBOW model, which stands for Continuous Bank of Word Models, which is widely used for learning word vectors. So here is the architecture of our method. In standard CBOW model trained with negative sampling, we usually have two parts. The first is input word part, and we average the input word embedding in a given context window. And in the output words part, we randomly sample some noise words, and we have a target word. Then we can train with negative sampling. When applying word clusters, our method is very simple, and we just replace the infrequent words into their corresponding word clusters. For example, here, and shown in the red symbol and the red box, and the red symbol represents infrequent words, and the red box are cluster embedding. So we replace the infrequent words in the input side, and also we replace the infrequent words in the output side. So this is overall architecture of our method. After finish training with our method on some couples, we get some output. One is very frequent word embedding, and another is a small amount of cluster embedding. And they are both come from the input word side in the original CBOW model as shown in the figure. So since each cluster has many words, the embedding of each word in that cluster will be copied from their cluster embedding, which means all the words within that cluster share the same embedding. And although in the beginning many infrequent words will share the same embedding, but when we apply it to the task-specific fine-tuning, they will eventually become different. The effects of the input word clusters. So the first one is the storage of word embeddings will be significantly reduced, as we only need to store a small amount of cluster embedding and very frequent word embedding. But when apply them to the downstream tasks, the task-specific model size is still the same. And the second one is the embedding of frequent words are better learned. This is because their context is becoming less noisy, as many infrequent words are replaced by their clusters. The cluster will be more frequent and reliable. And the third one is the embedding of infrequent words are better in task-specific fine-tuning, and they are initialized with their cluster embedding, again which are more frequent and reliable. We will show this in Ablation Study. As for the effect of output word clusters, and it helps improve the training efficiency in negative sampling. And shown in the figure here, we in the negative sampling, we replace some infrequent word noise into their clusters, as if we have many similar noise words in negative sampling. So as if we increased the number of negative samples, and we will show this in our ablation study. As for obtaining word clusters, we choose ClusterCAD software, as it is reported to be much faster than many other alternatives. In our tasks, we set the number of clusters to 600. We obtain word clusters by running this software on training dataset of specific task, which means no extra training dataset is involved. As for the task settings, first one is we apply our method only to the training dataset of that specific task. This means without extra training dataset. And second one is for each task we use threshold 100 to define very frequent words as mentioned before, and others as infrequent words. Third one is as we mentioned before, the embeddings of infrequent words will be copied from the cluster embedding, and then all embedding are used to initialize the lookup table of downstream tasks. And the last one is in all our tasks, we first find the hyperparameters of standard models on some specific task to reproduce the reported result from other paper first, and then we apply our method with the found hyperparameters. We first evaluate our method in intrinsic evaluation. Since most words share the same embedding within one cluster, standard tasks such as word similarity task may not be directly applicable, but we still we evaluate the very frequent word embedding in our appendix in our paper. So in mainly we choose the language modeling as intrinsic evaluation. So we use two types of dataset. One is two standard English language modeling dataset. One is Pentry Bank dataset, and another one is Wikitext 2. Another type is 8 language datasets containing diverse languages released from recent work. For the two standard datasets, we use the so-called AWD LSTM codebase, which is quite a strong LSTM-based language modeling codebase. And so we first reproduce the AMD LSTM, then we use our method to initialize the lookup table of the AMD LSTM language model. And the Sable initialization means the standard Sable, and the cluster Sable initialization means our method. As you can see, our method can further improve over the strong AWD LSTM result. So for another type of dataset, we evaluate on standard LSTM language model. And so in the right table, we have the statistics for each language, and in the left table, we have the result. And the random means we randomly initialize the lookup table from the LSTM language model, and the Sable as before. As you can see, our method can further improve over the baseline. The standard Sable get improvement over the baseline is we guess because the standard Sable will cut off some low frequent words, so that the frequent words will learn better. We use two no-resource NMT datasets for intrinsic evaluation, as you can see in the table. So we use two cited result here, and to make sure our reproduced LSTM-based sequence-to-sequence is comparable to published LSTM-based sequence-to-sequence model. As you can see, our model can improve over the baseline. Next part is Ablation Study, and we use targeted perplexity results to analyze the gain from our method. So if current input word is frequent, and then we get its perplexity score, and we regard the score as a group of frequent words, and another one as infrequent group. And as you can see in the table, our method is both better for frequent and infrequent words. We then analyze input word clusters and output word clusters separately, and also we verify our output word clusters can make the training more efficient. The re-in means we only use input word clusters, and re-out we use only use output word clusters. And leg plus n means we use n negative samples. Default is 5. As you can see, the re-in and re-out can get improvement separately, and which they are very useful separately. And also when we increase the negative samples, we approach the similar result of re-out, which means the re-out is makes the training more efficient. For our future work, we plan to investigate how the word cluster perform together with some subword level information. Another one is we plan to apply our method to large-scale corpus and on more downstream tasks.